What's going on, everybody? So I'm back after, man, I don't know how long it's been since I posted the last video, but I'm bringing you and going over my $7,000 sim setup. And as you see, I have one of my certs on that I like to fly with. So certified pilot. I mean, I have a degree, but I still will fly for food because I have no money. I'm freaking broke. But no, let's get into it. So yeah, I have a sim set up here and just kind of go over everything that we have or I have on my setup and what does a $7,000 sim setup give you, and why would anybody spend that much money on a sim setup? And quite honestly, even at $7,000, some people have spent way more than that making an aesthetic sim setup for like a Cessna 172, or there's a guy on YouTube that's built a Piper Tomahawk sim setup. It is amazing what you can do to simulators. Some people make fighter jets into sim setups. I did not make a aesthetically pleasing sim setup, so theirs is aesthetically pleasing and functional, but mine is more of just a functional setup that you can take from, say, flying a Cessna 172 to flying left seat for Piper Warrior on the Quadrant, to maybe you're working on the instrument rating and you want to fly a Baron 58 or a Cessna 310. So now you have your multi-engine on the side. So just a quick overview of what you can do with a $7,000 sim setup. One, a lot of people say, well, why don't you put that money towards a real plane? Well, yeah, you can. But one thing that people fail to realize that are not pilots or aircraft owners is that the initial price of investment is honestly the easy part of buying an airplane. The hard part is the maintenance, the fuel burn, the tie down space, the hangar costs, the insurance. With the sim setup, your initial investment is pretty much your initial investment for however long the computer can run that sim at a good given rate or good frames. My last sim setup I built in, I think, 2005, 2006-ish, and I didn't really upgrade it or replace it until about 2 or 3 years ago. And so that just shows you what you can do with a simulator. With a real plane, you can't buy it 10 years ago and not put any investment into it. You have to do annuals, you have to put some type of investment in it. So that's the one advantage of dumping money into a simulator, is that you don't have that reoccurring cost that you would with a real plane. Another advantage is right now I have this X-Plane 11 set up for the Cap Peachtree, which is Papa Delta Kilo here in the Atlanta area. It's overcast, about 600. So instead of, say, driving 30-45 minutes to the airport, maybe I have something to do in the next hour with the family or whatnot, and I don't want to fly out to the airport, file a flight plan, go to another airport to work on my instrument training or proficiency. So I just load up that airport, load up the real weather, and if I loaded up the actual ATIS, in which this is at Paulding County, it will have the exact same altimeter, the exact same weather, the temperature, everything's the same. So you don't have to burn the gas going out there. You don't have to burn the time going to the airport. You don't have to burn the gas in the plane. You don't have to burn the rental costs in the plane. So again, I have X-Plane 11 loaded with the real live weather and a Bonanza, nice V-tail Bonanza 35. I love those planes. But again, this is a modular setup, so I can set it up any way I want to, but I do have everything pretty much not permanent, but semi-permanent to where I want it. And I don't have to move anything around. If I want to fly 172, again, I go to the TPM. If I want to fly left seat on a quadrant-based plane, bam, I have my throttle quadrants on the right. When I was working on my CFI and CFII, bam, I use these to the left. So you have a lot of advantages for a flight sim or home sim setup. What did I use the simulator for? Well, again, I built this back in about 2005, 2006 when I was in college. And I started off with a basic yoke and a quadrant. I didn't even have a trim wheel or anything. It was just yoke, quadrant, and rudder pedals. And over the years, I started building. And the last probably 3 years, I really started just dumping money into it that I didn't originally do. I redid my sim setup, added more components. So again, what did I use it for? My private pilot, I use it for my instrument, I use it for my commercial, my CFI, my CFII, currently working on my my ME and my MEI. And so whenever I want to train or do anything, I can come here and either repeat the lesson that I had with my flight instructor, or do the lesson before the actual flight lesson, or just come in and just practice because I want to practice. Another thing that I did, I downloaded a Super Decathlon and I loaded that into X-Plane 11, and I used that while I was doing my tailwheel endorsement, and that helped me get my tailwheel endorsement. Also, I don't fly the tail wheels too often. I think I took about a 2 or 3 month hiatus on flying tail wheel because I was working on my commercial, my CFI, my CFII. But I got back into the tail wheel about 2 or 3 months after getting my endorsement, and the CFI was like, "Man, you're gonna be rusty, so let's try to knock off that rust." Well, guess what? He didn't realize I had a sim at home, and I was on the simulator almost weekly working on a decathlon, and got out there, jumped in the plane, flew it as if I just got out of the plane. And so he was surprised that I was able to fly that decathlon with so much grace, even though I had been away from it 2 or 3 months. So again, another advantage is just staying proficient with your flying without having to burn the hobs, to burn the fuel. So let's kind of get into the breakdown of my simulator and what the costs were or was or is to build something like this. So everything you see here as far as the simulator or the sim components, as far as the flight sim components, I'm gonna break that down first. So what I have in investment in this is about $4,200, $4,300. Did I pay that? No, I built it over time. I purchased stuff that was more financially economical to me and my family. And so the only thing that I actually bought that was full price was the real sim gear, the Honeycomb yoke that I kind of impromptu bought when I was in Micro Center. I was getting it for a friend, but he decided not to get it and wait for his. He had on back order, and I bought these for got these for full price, and the FSX Dual for full price. So those components here I purchased full price. Everything else I just waited and picked it up for the price that I wanted to. Some stuff I had to buy and resell because I didn't need the components, but I ended up either getting it for free because I would flip it to where it would pay for itself, or I would have a very, very reduced cost to the component. So for example, I bought something similar to all of this for about $1,500, but I only wanted the FIP side of it. So I turned around and sold pretty much everything else for about $1,000 and got all my FIP side of it for about $500, which each one of these costs, I believe, about $200 each. So you see the advantage of buying bulk and then turning around and selling it, the components you don't need. So total that I have into the sim, all you see here is about $2,600. And I'll put this on the video as a comparison so you can see. But brand new, about $4,200, $300-ish. What I paid for it was about $2,600, $2,600. So if you just wait, you can find good deals on it. I will say though, in the last probably year, maybe 2 years, the coming out of Microsoft Flight Sim 2020 has really hyped up the prices of simulator components. So it's going to be hard to find deals that I've found over the last 10 years for some of these components. So if you can wait, maybe you just get a yoke and a quadrant. That'd be great, and just start building on it slowly but surely. But just get the things that you need to fly the sim, and just look for deals as you go out there. Again, I had the deals from Craigslist, Nextdoor, eBay, Facebook. That's where I would find all my deals at. There's a few other places that I found online, but those are the main sources that I use to find my components. So yeah, that's the sim components you see here. So everything you see here, again, roughly about $4,600. I paid about $4,200. I paid about $2,600 for everything. So now let's get a breakdown of the actual computer components. So again, originally that was the sim components. Now, it did not include the screen. It did not include the computer. So the computer and the screen, so we're looking at about $2,200 or $2,200 for the screen and the computer to run all of that. And so I purchased all that during a Black Friday sale, I believe, 2 years ago, where I upgraded from my old sim computer that I built back in 2005. So again, it shows you can invest a lot into a computer, and it'll last a long time until you start seeing lag in the performance of the computer. And honestly, all I really had to do was upgrade the video card on my other computer, and I think it would have been a little bit better. But I just went and just dumped in and got a whole nother computer and a screen. So you're looking at about $2,200, $2,200 for the computer, and then I have about $2,600 into the sim. So you're looking at about $4,800 for this whole sim and computer setup. And this is plus or minus some stuff. I didn't keep up with every single dollar, but that's roughly about how much I put into the computer. Now, you may say, hey, why would you do that? Give you another example. Had an airline captain that's been kind of off and on with the airlines the last few months come over, and we loaded in the Embraer onto X-Plane, and he jumped in and was amazed at how well a just generically built, non-certified sim setup gave him the same functionality, proficiency that he would get off what he would use, say, like Delta or any of those other certified full motion sims. He got in and was able to move around and click and stay proficient in an Embraer versus having to go to the airline and fly their certified sim. So even a non-certified sim can get you what you need. So again, this is my setup. Hopefully get you all some better videos of it all working. I know I keep promising that, but between me now teaching, between working, my two kids, my wife, my lovely wife, who definitely fought through the pains of me doing a lot of studying and working, but I get some more videos out there for you. I promise you. It may not be tomorrow, may not be next week, but I get something out there for you. But if you have any questions on this setup, please give me a message below. I will try to get the answer for you. If I don't have it, if I do have it, I'll reply to you as soon as possible. But again, this is my sim setup. I mean, everything I have here, including the iPad, I got it integrated into my iPad to use for flight. So go out, buy a sim setup. You'll be surprised that even as a pilot, if you've been apprehensive about getting a sim set up, you'll be surprised at what you can actually do to keep you proficient. You may not be legally current, but you'll be proficient in using a simulator. But again, if you got any questions, please give me a ring. I will try to get those questions answered for you. Till next time.